This is the question that I always get asked to my clients. My name is Somen Mondal. And the question is like, Somen, why would somebody sell a positive cash flow commercial property? So in this video, I am going to share with you what are the reasons and what are the different circumstances. So hopefully you will get the idea. And if this is the question that comes to your mind and you will get some of these answers is relevant. So without being a delay, let's start. All right, so commercial property, as we know, that is a positive cash flow property, means the income is far greater than the expenses. That being said, if somebody owns that commercial property, why would somebody sell that property? In other words, the why vendor is selling that commercial property. The first reason that they sell it is not particular order or anything. Is more importantly for understanding. The first one that I'll talk about is the circumstances of the vendor. It's in Australia, one of the highest divorce rates country you can talk about, you can say. So that means it's a split up, right? If the husband wife, they are not getting along, they're in their 50s or 60s and they own a commercial property for the last 10, 15, 20 years, one or two, and now is the time to actually divest so that they can split up. They can, after paying the mortgage payment and split it up, get that 50-50, and that way they can just part ways with their life. So that's the number one reason people actually not getting along, and they bought that property in a joint name or in a company or in whatever structure it is, but now they just don't want to continue their relationship, hence their assets is also getting divided. So that's one of the reason why a positive cash flow is getting sold in Australia. The second reason that a positive cash flow property would be sold is that the vendor needs money. Like let's say if you have $1 million property and that $1 million property is giving you 70,000 net rent, but also it has like let's say 700,000 mortgage payment or maybe 600,000 mortgage payment, and then you after paying the mortgages, then you are getting only $30,000 or $40,000 positive cash flow in a year. What if they need 200,000 all of a sudden? It could be due to medical things, it could be like their kids getting married and they want to pay, and whatever the reason, they need money. And if they need a substantial amount of money, which is like 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, sometimes they decide it's better to just sell it off, and that way they just extra money, they need some money, but at the same time the remaining money they will keep in their other accounts and they just going to enjoy. So that's another reason that they need money. Whatever reason it could be, because they need money more than that positive cash flow that is coming, they want to sell that commercial property. And of course, if they're selling, means somebody can buy that commercial property. So that's another reason why a commercial property, a positive cash flow commercial property getting sold. The third reason that we normally do not talk about is perhaps there is a problem in the property that is coming, which is, it could be like the big roof that needs to be replaced is outdated. It could be there are some potential vacancy issues that they are seeing this, and they just don't want to, they just want to get rid of before. Or it could be that they just have tenanted their property and they want to cash out. So it's not only about the problem, it's also about the opportunity. But more importantly, problem could be another reason. Either the building problems or the tenancy problems or the vacancy issue is the reason why somebody would sell a positive cash flow property. It is looking positive cash flow today, it might not be positive cash flow tomorrow, and that is something that you need to, if you are buying that, you need to do the due diligence. You need to find out that why they are selling and is it worth going to buy that property. So that's another reason of why somebody is selling their positive cash flow property. The next one is the relationship with the tenant. Sometimes it is as trivial as a simple ego problem between landlord and the tenant. Perhaps they're managing that property by themselves and they're not getting along. Tenants want something and that landlord is not providing, or landlord wants certain way that tenant is not doing. So they're not getting along. As a result, there is a dispute, there is a conflict, and the best way to resolve the conflict according to the vendor is just to sell that property. And this happens often where people just want to get rid of that issues, they don't want to deal with the tenant, hence they want to sell that property. And this could be a potential opportunity for somebody if you want to buy that property, because you can get a better bargain, because vendor is clearly wants to get rid of it, and they just don't want to have that relationship anymore with the tenant, and it could be a better opportunity. So as long as you understand what is the problem, how, if you can solve that problem, then of course you will go ahead and you can get a better deal. Sometimes you can give like 10 or $20,000 worth of work to the tenant, like tenant incentives, and all of a sudden you could charge maybe $2,000 more rent, and that is a bonus or extra rent that you can get as well. So this is another reason the relationship between the landlord and the tenant is not great, hence the landlord, the vendor, wants to sell that property. Another issue that could be is the property management issue. The property management is like, okay, landlord has given to the property manager or the asset manager, and they are managing the property, but they're not doing well, they're not doing simple things, the rents is not coming, they're not following it up, whatever. It's basically the property manager is incompetent, they are not doing it, hence the landlord or the vendor decided to sell that property. This, it sounds simple that, oh, why would you sell, you just change that. But yeah, sometimes people don't change that property manager, rather that just sell that property. So this is another reason that could be coming up. Even though it is a positive cash flow, it is giving money, they just say, oh, by selling it I'll get the lump sum money, but at the same time I don't have to deal with this property manager or the asset manager anymore, let someone else do that thing. So these are the reasons. There are many other reasons. Which one you believe that is more important? And if you can find out that what is the reason vendor is selling, and if you can tap into, then you will be getting a bargain, you can get a better deal, you can negotiate better. So hopefully this video is giving some ideas. If you like this, please consider subscribing our channel, turn the notification bell on, so you get to see more videos like this, and it also help us to reach out to more people like you. Thank you so much. And before you go, the one thing that you remember is that whenever you purchase a commercial property, find out what is the main reason the vendor is selling, and as long as you can justify that reason, then that property is going to be gold for you. On the other side, if you don't find out, and later on after buying, if you see that is literally there is a problem in that property, or the lease, or the tenant, or their business, then you will be in trouble. Make sure you do the due diligence properly before you purchase. Thank you so much. See you next time. Bye bye.